It was the day after Mother's Day. My son fell off of his bed. He's 2 years old, typical little toddler horsing around on the bed. Fell off the back of his bed onto the back of his head and gave himself what we thought was a concussion. Took him to the emergency room, and we were advised to get a CAT scan, which we did, and we were shocked to find out that my son had a brain tumor, which was, as you can imagine, devastating to find out that your toddler, your firstborn, has some kind of condition that at that point you don't know is life-threatening or not. He was admitted to the intensive care unit. He spent 11 days there, and during the course of that first 5 days we were in tears every day, not knowing if it was a cancer that was throughout his body or just an isolated tumor. It was determined that it was just an isolated tumor and they needed to operate. And during the course of his stay in the hospital, he obviously needed to have that tumor removed in the form of a brain surgery. And during that brain surgery, they knew that they might possibly need blood, and they basically had on hand 2 units of blood. It turns out that the surgery was postponed, and so they didn't use that blood. And of course, we come back in 2 weeks later, and he actually has the surgery, and they need another 2 units of blood on hand. My son it was a successful surgery, completely recovered, a benign tumor. We're so absolutely glad of it. And during that time in the hospital, my son, he's only 2, can't really quite understand what's going on, really. He thought that what was wrong was in his arm. He had what he called a pokey. He had the needle in his arm for intravenous, fluids and such, and they would come in and give him blood tests and withdraw blood from him, and that for him was the scary part. No pokes, no pokes. I don't want any pokes. When it was all said and done, when we were out of the hospital, it was just something I knew I wanted to do. I knew that twice a year here at Granite Bay High School we do a blood drive that we ask our students, ask our community to come on out and give blood. And I knew it was something that I wanted to share with the students at large. That I know it can be kind of scary to lie in one of those little cots and to have a nurse take blood from you. But I just can't emphasize enough that this is such a necessary thing. You don't realize how much blood is needed. Some of you sitting out there right now might be of a rare type that somebody needs, that is absolutely essential, whether it's a simple operation or something as serious as my son. We were fortunate. My son has a very common blood type. In fact, his blood type is the same as mine and as my wife's. However, not everybody's that fortunate. Some people have rarer blood types and might be in a little more difficult circumstance in needing blood but not having it supplied. Most people don't know their blood type. So I would urge you to give blood just from the standpoint of perhaps you or somebody sitting out there who has a type that for somebody else needs that rare match. And you just, as I said, you just never know. We were certainly relieved to know that the blood was on hand. That wasn't an issue, certainly. But for a little guy weighing 35 pounds to need 4 units of blood, each unit every time you give blood, you're giving a unit. To need 4 units for a little guy like that, just extrapolate that over a larger person, an adult, and how much more they might need for such a circumstance, such a surgery. I would urge you, plead with you. I would love for this year, for my son, the joy I have in having him back, to give blood. I do it every year, whether it's in the fall, spring, or both, and would love for you to just take part in that. On October 25th, all day from 8 o'clock until 2, sign up with Miss Warfield. Sign up, give blood. I know it might be scary, but if my son and my family can live through and survive something like that, I know that's something you folks can do. Something to consider is that you're saving a life. Had other people not given blood at some point, that blood would have not been on hand for my son's surgery. That blood would have not been on hand for any number of other persons needing surgery that day. It's easy to think, oh, I'll just let the next guy do it. I'll let her do it. I'll just hope. But then when you find yourself in that circumstance where you're worried about a tumor. You're worried about a surgery where they're going to go invasively into your son's head and remove something that's not there. You don't want to have to worry about, do they have enough of my son's blood type on hand? Having that just relief of not having to worry about that was just one more thing we did not have to worry about. So if you're listening to this and wondering, you know, what's in it for me? What do I get out of it? Can I guarantee that someday that you'll need blood? No. But someday your son might, your daughter might, your wife might, your mom might. Somebody you care about may very well need it. And I can't stress enough how life-altering it can be, life-saving it can be. So I'd ask, don't think about what you get out of it, but really, as corny as it sounds, think about what you're giving.